Yeah. So, as I was saying, we'll continue with the discussion on the qualities of Lord Krishna. We have been doing this for the last 3-4 weeks. Today, we're going to start with point number 44. But before we go there, are there any questions that you want to ask? Okay, then let's continue. Who would like to read point 44?
I can go, Prabhu.
Please go.
44. Popular. Any person who is very dear to people in general is called a popular man. As for Krishna's popularity, there is a statement in the first canto, 11th chapter, verse 9 of Srimad Bhagavatam, that deals with his returning home from the capital of Hastinapur. While he had been absent from Dwarka at the battle of Kurukshetra, all the citizens of Dwarka had become morose. Then, when he returned, the citizens joyfully received him and said, "Dear Lord, while you were absent from the city, we passed our days in the darkness of night. As in the darkness of night, every moment appears to be a long duration of time, so while you were gone, every moment appeared to us like millions of years. Your separation is completely unbearable to us." This statement shows how popular Krishna was all over the country. A similar incident occurred when Krishna entered the arena of sacrifice arranged by King Kamsa for his death. As soon as he entered the place, all the sages began to cry, "Jai, Jai, Jai," which means victory. Krishna was a boy at that time, and all the sages offered the respectful blessings to him. The demigods who were present also began to offer beautiful prayers to Krishna, and the ladies and girls present expressed their joy from all corners of the arena. In other words, there was no one in that particular place with whom Krishna was not very popular. Hare
Thank you
Krishna.
all. So, yeah, it's one of the qualities, as we're discussing, of Krishna being popular. But he wasn't just popular in one circle, not just in one town, but with everyone, everywhere. And of course, all the time, for all the time. We can take some examples. Two are already given here. I'm sure everybody knows the pastime of Lord Krishna after the battle of Kurukshetra, and having saved Parikshit Maharaj in the womb of his mother Uttara, was leaving for home, which is Dwarka. And it is described in Srimad Bhagavatam that all the 5 Pandavas, they accompanied him. Okay, I'll just take you a little distance and then we'll come back. And they wouldn't return. They kept going with him. And finally, Krishna had to say, "Listen, it's far enough. Thank you very much. Now you can go back." And they wouldn't still go back. So Krishna had to say a few times to tell them to go home, and he'll continue on his journey. So he was so popular with them, the Pandavas themselves. And you probably know already that Krishna loved the Pandavas so much that despite the fact that in Dwarka he was loved so much by his 16,108 wives, that he would find excuses to go to Hastinapur. And of course, the Pandavas loved him so much that they will constantly be inviting him, come on any excuse. And if for some reason a few months went by and he did not get an invitation from the Pandavas to come to Hastinapur, he will send a messenger to Maharaj Yudhishthira and say, "Hey, send me an invite so I can show it to my wives and I can come." So he'll get an invite that way, and then he'll go and spend time with the Pandavas in Hastinapur. And of course, when he was leaving Hastinapur, then all the residents of Dwarka were waiting for him. And there was like a huge celebration that occurred when Krishna's chariot approached the city. And it says here that the devotees, or the residents, I should say, of Dwarka, who of course the devotees as well, and They were so morose when Krishna was not there that they said one moment felt like millennium, which is what happens when you're missing um, anyone that you love. We know the story of the gopis who call Brahma a fool. Does anybody remember why they call Brahma a fool?
Has made the eye blink and
Yes. So they said, you're such a fool that you made the eyelids. So every time we blink, we cannot see our Krishna. So why did you have to do that? You gave a peacock thousands of eyes, which cannot even see. And he gave us only two eyes. And on that, you put the eyelids. What a foolish creator you are. So that's the amount of love and popularity that he had with the gopis. Mother Yashoda loved him so much that every time he went to the forest to take care of the cows, she'll find an excuse to go to the forest to see him. And, he'd be embarrassed because his mother's showing up in front of his friends, and that's not good. And so he'll tell her to go back. And she said, no, I came here because I forgot to give you breakfast. And he will say, but you gave me breakfast twice already this morning, and then say, oh, yeah, okay. She'll go back and then come back very soon. And he'll say, now what? And she'll say, oh, I forgot to comb your hair. And he will say, you combed them already 5 times this morning, mother, please go home. So same way she'll find different excuses to come back and see him. And the boys, the cowherd boys who are his friends, they'll wake up at 3 in the morning. Can you imagine trying to wake up 5 or 6-year-old boy or girl at that time of the morning? I mean, it's struggle enough to wake them up in time to go to school. But these boys on their own will wake up at 3 in the morning and start running to Krishna's house. Their parents had to stop them and say, no, first you take a bath, do your breakfast before you go. And they would not listen. They wanted to go. Why? They were so eager to see Krishna because it had been a whole night before they had seen him. So my point is that his popularity was unbelievable with everyone and anyone that was in his life at that time. Second example here given is when he entered the arena for Kansa, where he had been invited on the pretext of seeing the function and fighting the wrestlers. And everyone, including the sages, was saying Jai, 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 because they were so happy to see Krishna. And of course, all the gopis and the residents of Mathura, they were going the same way. So we also know when he entered Mathura from Vrindavan. How old was he, by the way?
7.
When he went to Mathura, left Vrindavan with Akrura.
10 years.
10 years, 7 months.
Very good, yes. I just want to test your memory. So all the women of Mathura, they were rushing to go upstairs on the terrace to take a glimpse of Krishna. And Bhagavatam describes that some of them in such a hurry, they put only half the makeup on and they ran. Some of them in such a hurry that they'll put garments inside out and so on and so forth. The point is, everybody was so interested in seeing Krishna. And that gives you an idea of the popularity for Lord Krishna. The only people he was not popular with were? Make a guess.
Demons.
Huh?
Demons.
What, demons? Yes. I was thinking a little less deep.
Kansa.
Kansa, of course, that's a part of demon. But I was thinking Kauravas, Duryodhan in particular. I mean, you know that when Krishna offered, you can either have me or my army, Arjuna immediately said, I want you. And Duryodhan was so happy. Oh, I get the army now. So, yeah, sure, there were some people, but generally speaking, Krishna was so popular with everyone. Any question or comments?
Prabhuji, actually, we can't say he's not popular among the demons. He's really popular among the demons. They were all very scared.
Actually,
Kamsa,
that's
he
also
was
true.
too popular. Kamsa was actually thinking all the time about him.
That's a very good point. Yes, I agree. Very good point. So even with them. Any other comments or questions? Okay, let's go to the next one then.
Can I read through?
Please, of course. Yeah.
45. Partial to devotees. Although Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead and is therefore not partial to anyone, it is stated in Bhagavad Gita that he has special attraction for a devotee who worships his name in love and affection. When Krishna was on this planet, one devotee expressed this feeling in this way: My dear Lord, if you had not appeared on this planet, then the asuras, demons, and atheists would have surely created havoc against the activities of the devotees. I cannot imagine the magnitude of such devastation prevented by your presence. From the very beginning of his appearance, Krishna was the greatest enemy of all demonic persons. Although Krishna's enmity towards the demons is actually comparable to his friendship with the devotees. This is because any demon who is killed by Krishna receives immediate salvation.
Thank you. So I think this point we have discussed before in some details. Just do quickly. What's the verse being referred to here of Bhagavad Gita? Samoham sarvabhuteshu name dvesho asti na priya ye bhajati tumam bhaktya maite teshu chapyaham. 929. So Krishna is saying, I'm equal to everyone. But is that equal really equal? Because otherwise, if you okay, Nana, you're shaking your head, so tell me more.
I thought I was not showing my okay. I think Prabhuji, it's more of a reciprocation than partiality.
Okay, that's true.
Yeah,
That is true.
that's what I was thinking when you were saying the verse. It's
Okay.
He's not partial. He reciprocates for those who calls him out of love or whatever, in
Okay.
whichever bhav.
Sure,
Yeah.
that's a very good point. I was on the point of samo. Sam means equal, or does it? Krishna says, I'm equal to everyone. What does it really mean? Yeah, go ahead.
So he's equal to everyone means that Krishna is not partial. Like if he really not like anybody, jo sun chamakta hai, it shines the same in everybody's house, whether it's a house of an atheist or an asura or whoever, it shines the same. So basically his gestures towards everybody is same.
Okay.
Again, it's our reciprocation and then we feel it's partial. Yeah.
Sure. But if it was really equal, then everybody would be equally rich, equally good looking, equally everything. But that's not the case. So then what does he mean by I'm equal to everyone?
But that's not Krishna, that's our karmas.
No, I know that. But Krishna is saying I'm equal.
Yes. So he's doing everything equal, but whatever we attain in this body is because of the karmas that Krishna is not giving us. Those those are, our man-made efforts.
Okay. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, Rajan Prabhu?
I can try, bro.
Go ahead,
He's equally available to everyone. It just depends on how much you are willing to accept or take his mercy. I don't know if this is good enough.
Okay, so same idea as reciprocation. But I was thinking, anybody else? So I was thinking, really what he means is equitable. What's the difference between equal and equitable? Is that equitable means you get as you deserve, which is what Nana's point was about the karma. So karma is what makes us deserving, undeserving of his mercy. Similarly, reciprocation, how Rajan Prabhu was saying, how much are we willing to receive? So using Nana's example about the sunshine, sun is shining everywhere, no question about it. But you go under a cave, well, there's no sunshine, and you can complain, oh, there's no sunshine here. But that's not a fair complaint, right? Or you put an umbrella up and you say, oh, I don't feel the sunshine. No, that's the point. His mercy is being showered everywhere, but how many of us are willing and ready to receive it? So he's equitable in that he's giving it equally to everybody, but whether they receive it or not, that's your issue. right? But he says, no, but hold on. In a sense, I am partial. To whom? Ye bhajanti tumam bhaktya. To my devotees. Because they are in me and I am in them. Right? Which means they know nothing except me. And I know nothing except them. Right? Natandas Thakur sings in the glorification of the Vaishnavas or the devotees. He says, Tomar Hriday Sada Govind Vishram, Govind Kahe Mama Vaishnava Paran. He's saying that Krishna is resting. Vishram is resting peacefully in your heart, pointing to the devotees. And Krishna is saying, my life air is my devotees. So that's that close relationship between Krishna and his devotees. So obviously, Prabhupada says in one of the purports, one of his purports, that a man may have a son and there may be a neighbor's son. So he may be fair to both of them, but obviously he loves his son a little bit more. So there is a little bit more love for the devotees. There's no question about it. But he remains fair in the sense that the example is given in this paragraph, that even when he kills a demon, he liberates them. So his killing is not same as killing in the mundane world. He's delivering them, he's liberating them to a different place, because there has to be some difference between a devotee and a demon. So the demons merge in the Brahman effulgence, and devotee goes to wherever Krishna is living to associate and serve Krishna eternally. So, I mean, there are some differences, but still he maintains his fairness. Ye yatha mam prapadyante tam satya bhajamyam. Otherwise, if there's no difference, then that verse ye yatha mam prapadyante tam satya bhajamyam would not apply. Right? So there is something to do with how are we reciprocating? How are we serving Krishna? That has some determination as to how Krishna deals with us. Is that clear or is that confusing?
It's clear to
Okay, great. Thank you. Any questions or comments on that particular point?
So, Prabhuji, when Krishna showed his Vishwaroop to Arjun and Duryodhan both, but Duryodhan couldn't see because he didn't have mercy. So, is that equitable again?
So,
Because
as far as I know, Duryodhan did not see that form. The form that Krishna showed Arjun at the battlefield, Duryodhan did not see it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He could see only light, right?
Okay, so that was a different occasion.
Okay.
When Krishna had come as an ambassador to propose peace between Kauravas and Pandavas. At that time, Krishna showed his universal form, and Duryodhana only saw the light. But at a battlefield, he didn't even see that. He just thought two people are talking.
And that is because he didn't deserve it. That's why Krishna...
Correct. That is correct. Okay? Hey, Devjani, you made it today.
Yes, Prabhuji,
Yeah.
finally.
That's great. Good to see you.
Yeah, Prabhuji. I just hurriedly finish up everything so that I can attend today.
I'm so glad. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Sure. Any other questions? Sorry, Vola.
Prabhuji, correct me if I'm wrong. Like, we can also justify this point by this thing, like Vaishnavas, we put tilak and we put kanthi mala. So it is also said that like Krishna, like it is said that Yamraj don't take those people. He cannot give his judgment on those because we belong to Krishna. So our judgment is taken by Krishna. So we can say like definitely like he is partial towards his devotees because he takes care of his devotees.
Well, yeah. There's definitely some there, but he tries to be very fair otherwise.
Yes.
Sure. Thank you for a good point.
Thank you, Roji.
Sure. Anybody else? Okay, let's go to the next one then. 46.
Should I read, Prabhuji?
Of course, please do.
Okay. 46, very attractive to all women. Any person who has special qualifications qualification becomes immediately very attractive to women. A devotee made the following statement about the Queen of Dwarika. How shall I describe the glories of the Queen of Dwarika who were personally engaged in the service of the Lord? The Lord is so great that simply by chanting his name, all the great sages like Narada can enjoy transcendental bliss. So, what can be said about those queens who were at every moment seeing the Lord and serving him personally? Krishna had 16,108 wives in Dwarka, and each and every one of them was attracted to Krishna just as iron is attracted by a magnet. There is a statement in the by a devotee, my dear Lord, you are just like in a magnet, and all the damsels of virgin are just like iron. In whichever direction you are moving, they are following you, as iron is attracted by magnet force.
Right. So let's talk about the mundane world for a second. Not just women, but people in general. What are they attracted to? Just give me some examples. Quality, I'm talking about qualities.
To the riches.
I'm sorry?
To the riches.
Riches, you said?
Rich people.
Yeah, rich people. So money.
They want to follow them.
Yeah, so money, the wealth.
Money.
Okay, all right. What else?
Looks, Prabhu.
Sorry, Shalini Mataji?
Looks, Prabhu, looks.
Looks, okay, beauty. Yes.
Those who have power. Powerful.
Okay, power is strength, yeah. Bhadra Krishna Prabhu, you were saying?
Fame.
Fame, okay. Yeah, people who are famous, they become very attractive. Okay, so just let's go with that. So people are attracted to people who are famous, who are rich, who are, what do you say, strong, brave, whatever. I can add that people who are very wise, intelligent, educated. And Krishna, we see this all, sorry?
Krishna has all these qualities.
Exactly. So imagine somebody who has all these qualities and not just a little bit, to the max.
Infinite.
Nobody has more than Krishna does. So imagine how attractive that person would be. And that was the situation with Krishna. I mean, it's described that the gopis' hearts just melted, when they saw Krishna. I mean, 3 billion of them showed up when he played his flute in the middle of the night. And how many people in the mundane world can claim to have that many followers? But for him, the cows, forget the human beings, cows loved him so much. Let me give you an example. When on Gopashtami, what happened on Gopashtami?
We worship cows.
But what was the occasion?
Krishna went for, he took cows for grazing for the first time.
So Krishna was allowed to take the cows to the forests for grazing. Until then, he was allowed only to take the calves. So that's a big occasion. So,
I was never knowing this.
So not today.
That's good to know.
Yeah, bilkul.
Yep.
So on this day, to celebrate the occasion, Mother Yashoda had beautiful shoes custom made for Krishna. And she presented it to Krishna. And Krishna said, no, I can't have them. She says, why? They're so beautiful. And he said, unless all the cows get shoes, I'm not wearing them. So now 900,000 cows, each with 4 hoofs, there's 4 shoes per cow. That's 3.6 million shoes. And she said, I just can't do that. So I'm just going to give it to you. And he said, no, I'm going to go barefoot. And as we know, Krishna never wore shoes in Vrindavan. Anyway, the point I'm trying to make is, as soon as the cows heard that Krishna is not going to wear shoes when he goes to the forest, what did they do? They ran. Sorry, Aditi, you were going to say something? Go ahead. So they ran to the forest, and with their hoofs, they stepped on every stone, every pebble, every dry straw of grass that could possibly hurt the soft soles of Lord Krishna, to make sure they'll be as soft as butter. That's their love for Krishna. And then it was demonstrated again after the Brahma Vimohan Leela, when Krishna expanded himself as all the calves that were there. And there's a description in Gopal Champu that one day the cowherd men had taken the cows on the top of the mountain, and the bottom was Krishna with the calves. When the cows saw their calves, they ran from the top of the hill to the bottom. And all these cowherd men were saying, what's going on? What are they doing? They're running like mad. They were running after them, very angry. But they came down, the cows came down and started licking the bodies of their calves like they had never done before. Why? Because who were these calves now? Who were these calves?
Like expansion of Krishna.
They were the popes, like the monkeys in the previous.
No.
They were expansion of Krishna.
Right, exactly. Krishna had expanded himself into these calves. So their love for Krishna was overflowing. And because otherwise they had calves before too. Same calves. But this time the original calves had been taken away by Brahma, and Krishna had expanded as the calves. Same thing with the elderly ladies of Vrindavan. They had their sons. They loved their sons. But they loved Yashoda's son more than they loved their own son. And they were always, transcendentally speaking, envious of Krishna, Mother Yashoda's fortune, that she could serve Krishna anytime she wants. Other ladies had to wait their turn. But in this 1 year, when Krishna expanded himself as the sons of those ladies, they felt the same amount of love for Krishna as they did for their own son. They couldn't understand what happened, what changed. But it was their inherent, intrinsic love for Krishna that was showing up. Right? So that's how much people loved Krishna. So we talked about Pandavas. They loved him so much. And Krishna loved them so much. As about how Narad Muni said to Yudhishthira Maharaj, there's nobody in the world who's more fortunate than you. Why? Because Krishna loves you so much. This whole story in Brihad Bhagavatamrita about Kumara's, what was his name? Kumar, no? What's the name of the main character? Kumar, I think. Anyway, whoever it was. Oh yeah, Nanda Kumar? Anyway, so he goes around trying to find out who's the best devotee, and he goes to Lord Shiva, to Lord Brahma, to Hanumanji, to Prahlad Maharaj. They all keep sending him to somebody else. And so then finally he makes it to Pandavas also. Of course, they're too humble, so they send him somebody else. But the point is that they are right up there because Krishna loved them so much, and they loved Krishna so much. So again, the bottom line is Krishna is loved by all. Any questions or comments on that? Okay, let's do the next one. 47.
Prabhuji, can I ask something?
Of course you can.
Is that place Raman Reti today, right, Prabhuji?
What about it? Sorry?
The place like related to this is Raman Reti, where the cows walked and
oh yes. It's Raman Reti, but also other forests. Okay. Like they went to all the 12 forests. And just stomped on everything that could possibly hurt Krishna's feet.
Yes, yes, Prabhuji. Because still people go there and they just roll around
Yes, yes,
to get that dust. So
that is correct. Okay, any other questions or comments? Okay, let's go to the next one. Any
I can,
volunteers? Please go ahead.
all worshipable. A person who is respected and worshipped by all kinds of human beings and demigod is called Sarvaradhya, or all worshipable. Krishna is worshipped not only by all living entities, including the great demigods like Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma, but also by Vishnu expansion forms of Godhead, such as Baldev and Shesha. Baldeva is direct expansion of Krishna, but he still accepts Krishna as worshipable. When Krishna appeared in the arena of Rajasuya sacrifice organized by Maharaj Yudhishthir to all present, including great sages and demigods, Krishna became the cynosure, the center of attraction, and everyone offered him respects.
Yeah. So there's a verse in Chaitanya Charitamrita that says Akala Ishwar Krishna Ar Sab Bhritya, which means Krishna is the only God and everybody else is a servant. So what that means is that all the expansions and incarnations of Krishna, they are supreme personalities of Godhead also, but they are all what's the word? Subordinate to Krishna. They're subordinate gods. And Lord Balaram, who is the immediate expansion of Lord Krishna, is so much in that serving mood that he serves Krishna in 10 different ways. As his shoes, as his bed, as his pillow, as his umbrella, as his ornaments, as his crown, as his clothes, as his abode. Like he's constantly serving. And when there's it's all taken care of, whatever is left, he does that also, and that's why he's known as Shesnath. Shesh means remainder. So Shesh means whatever service is left after all this, he takes that also. And then as Shesh Nag, what is he doing?
Protecting him.
Sorry, Nandi Mataji?
Protecting him on
Okay.
as a covering on his head.
Okay, what else is he doing? Constantly.
Glorifying.
Yes, exactly. There's millions of mouths. Is constantly glorifying Krishna since time immemorial. It's not done yet, and he'll never be done. Why? Because Krishna's qualities keep on expanding. There's no end to it. Krishna says, even I don't know the end of my qualities. So as Anantashesh is constantly glorifying Lord Krishna. Now, let me give you another example. I'm sure you know the story, but Mahavishnu. Who's Mahavishnu, by the way?
Is he Shirodaksha Vishnu?
No.
Mahavishnu who is lying in the ocean.
Well, they're all lying on the ocean, all three Vishnus. Different oceans, but they are lying there.
From Mahavishnu.
The expansion of Narayan.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah. What's his main task? What does he do?
Prabhuji is the one who inhale and exhale,
Yes,
create
yes.
cosmic creations.
Yes. Yes. So he's also known as Karunak Shai Vishnu, which means He's lying on the causal ocean. He's in Yoga Nidra. But when he inhales, the material world is completely finished. All goes into his body. When he exhales, billions and trillions of universes come out of every pore of his body.
Yep.
And at the same time, he glances at the material nature. And in his glance are contained who? Who's in the glance?
Shivji.
No.
Brahma.
No.
The living entity.
Yes, Mataji, thank you. So all the living entities who at the end of the Srishti, the material world, I mean, they have to go somewhere. They are Avinashi, they are immortal, the souls, that is. So they all enter the womb of Mahavishnu. And they reside there until he decides to exhale again. Okay? Now, the most interesting part is that he's doing all in his sleep. So I mean, like, there's an expression, oh, it's so easy, I can do it in my sleep. So it's so easy for Mahavishnu to create the material world, he can do it in his sleep. Okay? Anyway, so I just want to mention how important and how big a personality Mahavishnu is. So there's a pastime in Krishna's Dwarka Leela that there was a Brahmin living in Dwarka and he had 9 children. As soon as they were born, they will die. So after the 9th child, he got very upset and he went to the main square of the city of Dwarka and started blaspheming Krishna. That what happens to the subjects of a kingdom is the responsibility of the king. You're the king, my children dying, that means you're not doing your job well. And what makes you think you are the king, this and that? He's just blaspheming like anything. Arjun happened to be visiting Krishna in Dwarka at that time. So he went to the Brahmin and said, what nonsense are you talking about? What is the problem? So Brahmin explained it. He said, that's not the reason to blaspheme Krishna. You know what? I'm going to protect your son. Next one that's born. And Brahmin said, look, I don't believe you. What makes you think you can do that? 9 times has happened, but children have died. Arjun said, don't you know who I am? I'm Gandhi Vidhari, Arjun. And I will protect your child. He says, okay. What if we can't? Arjun said, if I cannot protect your child, I will make a pyre and enter it and kill myself. So Brahma said, okay, if that's you. So soon enough, the Mataji got pregnant. Time for delivery. Arjun came with his arrows. He made this big, net that nobody can go in, nobody can come out. And he said, don't worry, I got it in control. Brahma said, okay. Child was born. He cried once and he was gone. And Brahma said, Arjun, so what happened to your prowess? You're Gandhi Vidhari, right? So what happened? Now Arjun was very embarrassed. Okay, I'm so sorry, but I made a promise, so I'm going to make a pyre and I'm going to enter it and kill myself. So he made the pyre. But before he could enter, of course, Krishna knows everything. So he came. So Arjun, what's the problem? So Arjun explained it. He said, no, come with me. So he had Arjun sit on the chariot with Krishna. And guess where we went? They went. Huh? Sorry, I can't hear. 1%, please.
Yamdutas.
No.
Suptalok or Saptalok.
No.
Yamduta.
No, Mataji.
No.
I just gave the whole story about Mahavishnu. Why would I do that? So they went
to see Mahavishnu?
Yeah. So they went to causal ocean. By the way, do you know where causal ocean is? Where is causal ocean?
Where the material world ends.
Yes, correct. So above the boundary of the material world is this river called Brija Nadi or causal ocean. So Lord Mahavishnu is lying down there. So they went there. Arjuna and Krishna went. As soon as they arrived, Mahavishnu got up, welcomed them both very warmly, and gave them nice seat and all that. They had a nice exchange of, pleasantries. And then Mahavishnu said, I know the purpose of your visit, my Lord Krishna. I just want you to know I am the one who stole all those children. And Arjuna had this quizzical look on his face, why would you do that? But he didn't ask. Out of respect, but he looked. And he looked to Arjuna and he said, I wanted to see Krishna. It had been a long time. So Mahavishnu, the expansion of Krishna, had all this pastime just so he could take darshan of Lord Krishna, who's not different from him. Just imagine. But that's the point, that even Krishna's expansions serve Krishna and love him so much, they want to take darshan of Krishna. So that's our... Raju?
Isn't that abuse of power?
Abuse of power, huh? So actually, when the Lord Supreme Personality of Godhead does something, it's never an abuse. It's like they say, fire cannot be blamed for burning things. There's a chaupai in Ramcharitmanas, there's samratha ko koi dosh nahi, or something like that, which means the one who's so powerful does not have any faults. So this is a pastime. And of course, then all the 9-10 children were returned to the Brahman. Okay. Any questions or comments on that? All right, then let's move on. 48.
I can read Prabhuji. 48. All opulent. Krishna is full in all opulences, namely strength, wealth, fame, beauty, knowledge, and renunciation. When Krishna was present in Dwarka, his family, which is known as the Yadu dynasty, consisted of 560 million members. And all of these family members were really very obedient and faithful to Krishna. There were more than 900,000 big palatial buildings there to house all the people, and everyone in them respected Krishna as the most worshipable. Devotees were astonished to see the opulence of Krishna. This was verified by Bilva Mangal Thakura. When in Krishna Karnamrit, he addressed Krishna thus, My dear Lord, what can I say about the opulence of your Vrindavana? Simply the ornaments on the legs of the damsels of the Vrindavana are more than Chintamani, and their dresses are as good as the heavenly Parijat flowers. And the cows exactly resemble the Surabhi cows in the transcendental abode. Therefore, your opulence is just like an ocean that no one can measure.
Right. So, some of these numbers are so phenomenal, even hard to believe. Like, 3 billion gopis showed up in Vrindavan. We have all been to Vrindavan. It's not so big. And then everybody, Shidama, who's the brother of Radharani. Can anybody just make a guess, a wild guess, how many cows they had? Just wild guess. I don't expect anybody to know.
$12 million.
Sorry, bro?
12 million.
Okay, all right. So 1.1 million. Okay, and then there were so many other families. So maybe all included, there were 12 million cows in Vrindavan. Maybe, we don't know, but maybe. Then we know about 3 billion gopis. And their parents and their husbands and children. And so you can imagine what the population, they're probably the same population as the whole world today. And they were all living in Vrindavan. So similarly, in Dwarka, which is also not very big. Has anybody been there yet? Dwarka?
Yes.
Okay, great. So it's not that big. It's just a tiny little island.
Yep.
Right? And 560 million people were living there. And that's just the family. What about the subjects? We don't know how many, but must have been at least that many. Right? I mean, if you just look at how many children did Krishna have in Dwarka? With each wife?
11.
11. right? 10 sons and one daughter.
Mm.
And then 16,108 times 11, that's his own children. Then they got married and they had their own children, right? And then cousins and all those kinds of included 560 million people just in one family. That's what you would call a large family, right? Imagine having a birthday party, everybody shows up. I mean, unbelievable, right? But that's what he had. And how do you feed all those people? So the opulence has to be there. But opulence is not just riches. Sometimes we think opulence means, opulent food, opulent prasadam means rich prasadam. No, but opulence even includes not just the fame, not just the wisdom or education, knowledge, whatever, not just the money, not just the beauty, not just the strength, but also renunciation. That's an opulence. So, do we know any story about Krishna's renunciation? Anybody?
When he ended the Vraj Leela, Prabhuji, that's renunciation. He was so much loved there, and he's
Sure.
leaving that for going to
Sure.
Mathura.
Sure, absolutely right. Absolutely right. But there was another example of a kind of renunciation, and that is, he was always associating with the gopis every night. As soon as Mother Yashoda would put him in bed, they'll go to sleep. Krishna would jump out of the window and spend all night with the gopis, right? And then early morning, before the sunrise, he'll come back in and pretend to have slept all night in his bed. Anyway, so one time the gopis wanted to cross the river Yamuna to sell their products, the butter and the yogurt. And there was no boatman, and the Yamuna was, maybe it was rainy season, was at a very high level of water. So he's standing there wondering how to cross. And Krishna came and said, "What's your problem?" They explained their problem. He said, don't worry. Just go to her and say, if my Krishna is a brahmachari, which means celibate, then please give way. And they started laughing. And they said, every night you sneak away from your house to spend time with us and you call yourself brahmachari? Ha, ha, ha. And Krishna said, don't ha, ha, ha me. Go and say it. So they went to the Yamuna, just almost laughing to themselves. And they said, if Krishna is brahmachari, please give way. And Yamuna parted. And they went. And of course, there they saw Durvasa Muni. They fed him prasadam. And they had the same problem coming back. So how do we do that? So Durvasa Muni said, go and tell Yamuna, if Durvasa ate everything as if it's just hay, ghaspus, then give me way. And they said to themselves, we just fed this guy the most opulent prasadam, and he's saying ghaspus. But it's okay, let's try it. And they did, and Yamuna parted again. So again, the point is that Krishna, with all his opulences, was also very renounced. Not attached. Renounced means not attached. There was no attachment. He'll do what he has to do. And so, that's being appreciated here by the devotees. There's something else that I saw. Oh yeah, Bilwanga Thakur. He's describing the opulence of Vrindavan. And there's some indication of that even in the Brahma Vimohan Leela. So at the end of the Leela, Brahmaji came down, having realized his mistake. What did he see? He saw all those calves were actually Narayan Murtis, 400 form. All those cowherd boys that he had stolen, they were also Narayan Murtis. Obviously, Krishna had expanded. And then he realized the opulence of Vrindavan. He said, a spiritual Vaikuntha, the spiritual world, Vaikuntha, has only one Narayan. And he's so opulent. Vrindavan has got millions of Narayan. So you can imagine how opulent Vrindavan is. So Bilwanga Thakur is saying the same thing. Similarly, Brahma Samhita, Lord Brahma says, Chintamani Prakar Sadma Kalpa Vrakshata. So you can imagine where the floor, the buildings, the pillars, the walls, the ceilings are all made of Chintamani. And every tree is Kalparuksha tree, desire fulfilling tree. How opulent would that place be? And that is Vrindavan. So it's all coming from Krishna. So you can imagine how opulent Krishna is. Okay? Any questions or comments on that? Okay, then let's move on.
I can read, Prabhu.
Please go ahead.
All honorable. A person who is chief among all important persons is called all honorable. When Krishna was living in Dwarka, demigods like Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, Indra, the king of heaven, and many others used to come to visit him. The doorkeeper who had to manage the entrance of all these demigods, one very busy day said, "My dear Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva, please sit down on this bench and wait. My dear Indra, please desist from reading your prayers. This is creating a disturbance. Please wait silently. My dear Varuna, please go away. And my dear demigods, do not waste your time unlessly. Krishna is very busy. He cannot see you."
I love this. I absolutely love it. Can you imagine being Indra and being told to quiet, to be quiet? Don't do your prayers. You're making too much noise. Varuna being told to go away. Demigods being told, don't just wait here because you're not going to be able to see. Krishna is too busy. Just imagine, and so I was thinking about one time when, I'm sure you already know this pastime. There are many pastimes, by the way, I'm saying today, knowing that you know them, which is nice to discuss them. So Lord Brahma one time decided to visit, our Brahma decided to visit Lord Krishna. And he went to the door. The doorkeeper said, "Who should I say has come to see him?" And Brahma said, "Tell him Brahma is here." He was a little puffed up, I'm the most important person in this whole universe, and this guy doesn't even recognize me. So the doorkeeper went back to Krishna and said, some Brahma is here to see you. And Krishna understood, what's in the heart of Brahma. So he told the doorkeeper to go back and ask him, "Which Brahma?" So the doorkeeper went back and said, "Which Brahma are you?" And Brahma was shocked. He said, "What do you mean? Is there more than one Brahma?" So he said, "I don't know, but that's what Krishna has asked." So Brahma said, "Tell him the four-headed Brahma." So he went back, told Krishna. Krishna said, "Yeah, please call him." So Brahma came in, was given a seat, and Brahma said, "My dear Lord, before I ask you anything, I have to know, are there any other Brahmas also?" You asked, "Which Brahma?" And Krishna said, "Let me show you." And he invited all the Brahmas. And suddenly Brahma saw millions and billions of Brahmas, some with millions of heads, not just 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, millions of heads, because the number of heads shows the size of the universe, which means we are the smallest universe. We are living in the smallest universe. But all these Brahmas were always waiting for their turn to take darshan of Lord Krishna. So Krishna is not a ordinary personality, so honorable that Lord Shiva wants to take darshan. Brahma we talked about, and Lord Shiva, we know that when Krishna appeared in Vrindavan, he showed up immediately, take a darshan. And we know the story about how Mother Yashoda said, "No, you scared my child," and he went away disappointed. And then Krishna started crying because he wanted to see Lord Shiva as devotee. So finally, Mother Yashoda was advised by somebody that maybe you turn somebody away from the door. That's why the boy is crying. So go find him. So they found Lord Shiva and finally got darshan. He asked for the benediction to be allowed to always live in Vrindavan so he can take Krishna's darshan. So there are 4 very famous forms of Lord Shiva in Vrindavan. Anybody knows who they are?
I'll tell one which I know.
Sorry?
I'll tell one which I know before anyone says that.
Okay, go ahead.
Gopeshwar Mahadev.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
of course.
Yes.
Gopeshwar, that's one.
Chakleshwar,
Chakaleshwar, yes, that's two.
Nandeshwar,
Nandishwar, three.
Gopeshwar.
Sorry, Preeti? Sorry, you can't hear.
Sorry. Oh, sorry. No, I was just typing.
Oh, okay. So in Kamya, one Kameshwar Shiva. There are other Shivas also, but these are the four main. They're known as the gods of Vrindavan. So again, the point being, Krishna is so honorable. Lord Shiva is leaving everything just to get his darshan and be able to offer some prayers. And we know that when Krishna was about to appear, all the demigods came to offer their prayers while he was still in the womb. Our Mother Devaki. Same thing happened when Lord Chaitanya appeared. Krishna is Lord Chaitanya. Same thing happened. Right? So Krishna is all honorable, means honored by everyone. Finally, we know the story of Rajsuya Yagya. What happened there when Yudhishthira was performing Rajsuya Yagya?
His cousin.
Shishupal started insulting.
No.
Oh, that was before.
Context
Sorry.
of what we're talking about.
Okay.
Nandapati Mata, you were saying?
Like they made him the head, Krishna.
Yes.
The head.
So, yes. So there is a requirement when you do perform Rajsuya Yagya that there must be Agra Puja done. Agra Puja means who is the most honorable, most important person in this assembly who should be worshipped first before you start the fire sacrifice. And immediately Sahadev, the youngest of the Pandavas, got up and he proposed Krishna's name. And everyone, including Bhishma Pitama, Yudhishthira Maharaj, everybody agreed that yes, that's the right choice. Of course, Shishupal didn't, then it was a pastime. But the point is that Krishna was chosen as the all honorable, all worshipable, most important personality in that assembly of so many important people. So Krishna is all honorable. Any questions on that? Okay, let's move on then. You're on 50. Nobody wants to read?
I can go again, Prabhu, if there's no one.
Yeah, nobody else wants to do it, then go ahead.
The Supreme Controller. There are two kinds of controllers or lords. One who is independent is called controller, and one whose orders cannot be neglected by anyone is called controller. Regarding Krishna's complete independence and lordship, Srimad Bhagavatam says that although Kaliya was a great offender, Krishna still favored him by marking his head with his lotus feet. Whereas Lord Brahma, although having prayed to Krishna with so many wonderful verses, still could not attract him. Can I continue?
Yeah, please, of course. Yeah.
This contradictory treatment by Krishna is just befitting his position, because in all the Vedic literature, he is described as a complete independent. In the beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam, the Lord is described as Swarat, which means completely independent. That is the position of supreme absolute truth. The absolute truth is not only sentient, but it's also completely independent. As for Krishna's orders not being neglected by anyone, in Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd canto, 2nd chapter, verse 21, Uddhava tells Vidura, Lord Krishna is the master of the three modes of material nature. He is the enjoyer of all opulences, and therefore there is no one equal to or greater than him. All the great kings and emperors used to come before him, offer their gifts, and pay obeisances with their helmets at the feet of the Lord. One devotee said, My dear Krishna, when you order Brahma, now you may create this universe. And when you order Lord Shiva, now you dissolve this material manifestation. You are in this way creating and dissolving the material creation yourself. Simply by your orders and by your partial representation of Vishnu, you are maintaining the universes. In this way, O Krishna, O enemy of Kamsa, there are so many Brahmas and Shivas who are simply carrying out your orders.
Yeah. So in the very beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, first verse, first chapter, first verse, Janmadyasyata Krishna is known as Swarat. Swarat means completely independent, which implies is supreme controller. Brahma Samhita, chapter 5, starts with Ishvara Paramaha Krishna. He's not just a controller, but he's supreme controller, which brings us to a very interesting point, and that is we are all parts and parcel of Krishna. Therefore, all the qualities of Krishna exist in us. Therefore, if he's a controller, then we are controller. And the answer is yes, we are. But we are Anu. Anu means infinitesimal, very tiny. We have very little control, but we have control. But not like Krishna, who controls everything. In Bhagavad Gita 5:29, what does he say? Bhoktaram Yajna Tapasam Sarva Lok Maheshwaram. I'm the supreme controller of all the universes. Everyone. He controls everyone. With one exception, nobody controls him. I will come back to the exception. In Shvetasutra Upanishad, it says, Natasya karyam karanam cha vidyate, natasya samo abhi adhikasya deshate, parasa shakti vividhav shruyate, swabhaviki jnana bal kriya cha. It says, natasya samo abhi adhikasya deshate. There's nobody equal to, and nobody higher than. If nobody can be equal, of course, nobody can be higher. That's why one of the names of Krishna is Asamurdhya. Asamurdhya. Nobody is equal to him. Of course, nobody is higher than him. That's his name. To describe that quality of Krishna, that nobody is equal to him, and of course, nobody is greater than him. In Bhagavad Gita, again, chapter 7, text 7, Krishna says, Matta partaram nanyata kinchit asti dhananjaya. He says, there's no higher truth than me. There's nothing higher than me. I'm it. You come to me, highest. Similarly, his abode, Golapunda Mandham, is highest abode. There's nothing higher than that. Right? His controllership is also described in a different way in Brahma Samhita, where it says, Yes Agya Brahmad Sambhrata Kala Chakro. By his order, the time is moving. Kala Chakra, the time, circle of time is moving. Right? Another place of Srimad Bhagavatam, it says, out of the fear of Krishna, the sun gives light, the wind blows, the fire gives heat. So they're all doing their job out of fear of Krishna. So Krishna is the supreme controller. Okay. Let's see if there's anything else. That's in the paragraph. Okay. No, I think I covered it. He's the enjoyer of all opulences. There's no one equal to greater than him. All the great kings and emperors used to come before him, the gifts, pay obeisances. So not just the kings, the demigods were doing the same thing. So Krishna is the highest. Okay, so that is the first 50 of the 64 qualities of Krishna. So we're going to pause for a second and make the point that we, the living entities, have all those 50 qualities, but in a very minute, infinitesimal amount. And that's why I took the time to explain that we have control also, but very, very small, tiny amount of control. But all the other 50 qualities that we talked about, we, the living entities, have all of them, but in a very small amount. Sometimes some qualities reaching zero. But inherently we have them. Now, we're going to talk about 5 qualities, 51 through 55, that are present not in the living entities, but in Lord Shiva. So Lord Brahma also doesn't have those. So 51 through 55 are the qualities that only Lord Shiva has. So here's the first 50 also, plus these 5. So Lord Shiva has total of 55 qualities. Okay, any questions on that? Okay, then let's move on to 51.
Sorry, Broji, I just had one question. So,
Please
ये
go
जो
ahead.
64 कलाएं बोलते हैं, these are the same thing as what we are discussing, right?
Yes,
Or
64 कला,
or
yes. 16 कला अलग बात है.
हाँ.
This is 64 कला. Now, it doesn't mean Krishna has only 64 qualities. As we were saying, Krishna has so many qualities, even Krishna doesn't know the end of it. But Rupa Goswami is describing the 64 main qualities. So don't think that Krishna has only 64. There are millions and millions and millions. Even he doesn't know the end of it. But 64
Cannot
main.
count the qualities.
I'm sorry?
Infinite qualities
Yeah, correct.
of Lord Krishna. Endless.
Correct. Usha, you're raising your hand.
Prabhu, what chapter are we on?
Sorry?
What chapter are we on?
Oh, we're chapter 22 of Nectar of Devotion.
2250.
And
Yes.
we're starting the point number 51 in the chapter 22.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Sure. Anybody else? Any questions or comments? Okay, let's move on. Who wants to read 51?
I can read it.
Please go ahead.
51. Changeless. Krishna does not change his constitutional position, not even when he appears in this material world. Ordinary living entities have their own constitutional spiritual positions covered. They appear in different bodies, and under the different bodily concepts of life they act. But Krishna does not change his body. He appears in his own body and is therefore not affected by the modes of material nature. In the first canto, 11th chapter, verse 38 of Srimad Bhagavatam, it is stated that the special prerogative of the Supreme Controller is that he is not at all affected by the modes of nature. The practical example of this is that devotees who are under the protection of the Lord are also not affected by the material nature. To overcome the influence of material nature is very difficult, but the devotees or the saintly persons who are under the protection of the Lord are not affected. So what need is there to speak of the Lord himself? To be more clear, although the Lord sometimes appears in this material world, he has nothing to do with the modes of material nature, and he acts with full independence in his transcendental position. This is a special quality of the Lord. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. So, very important point is being made that when Krishna appears in the material world, he does not stop being transcendental, which is his constitutional position. And the other point is that we, the ordinary living entities, we have our constitutional spiritual position covered. What does that mean? We are the servants of Krishna. We have love in our heart for Krishna. But that gets covered by Maya, or the dust of our karmas, etc., material contamination. And that's why we appear in different kind of bodies, 8.4 billion different species. But Krishna does not change his body. He remains transcendental. He may look different. He may have a body of a boar, or a half lion, half man, or a swan, or a horse, or a fish, or a tortoise, so on and so forth. That's not the point. But in all those cases, the same transcendental body that he assumes out of his own sweet will, by his own desire. So it reminds me of Bhagavad Gita 4.6, chapter 4, text 6. He says, Ajo apisan avyay atma, bhutanam ishwaropisan, prakritim swam adhisthaya, sambhavami atmaya. He says, although Ajo, I'm Aja, means I'm not born, but I have a transcendental body. Avyay atma means something that never deteriorates. So Ajo apisan avyay atma, I'm transcendental, my body never deteriorates, and I'm unborn. Not only that, I am Bhutanam Ishwarapisat. I'm the Lord of everyone. All living entities, I'm their Lord. But I appear in every millennium How? Prakritim swam adhishthaya. I remain in my prakriti, in my nature, which is my nature is transcendental. So my original transcendental form does not change. I may look different, but whatever way I look, that form is still transcendental. In other words, I do not give up my transcendence under any circumstance. I may be a 6-day-old baby, I'm still transcendental, and that's why I can kill Putana, because the body of told my law. Or I can be any other form. I take any role. I can take the role of the servant of Arjun as his chariot driver, but I remain my transcendence. I retain my transcendence, and that's why I can speak Gita when Arjun is all confused. So we know transcendence means anything that's beyond material. So Krishna is saying, I'm totally beyond material. In other places, Krishna is known as Atmaram. Anybody knows what Atmaram means?
One who is happy by himself.
Who's self-satisfied. Yes.
That's it.
So Krishna is Atmaram, self-satisfied, which means that he doesn't need to perform any activity for his sense gratification. His senses are already satisfied. He has no material need. He has no material desire. He's not attracted by material qualities, nor does he have material qualities. So again, the point being made that even when he appears in the material world, he does not leave his transcendental nature. So that's one point being made in this paragraph. The second point being made, and they're quoting chapter 11, text 38 from Srimad Bhagavatam, which basically says, Etad ishanam ishasya prakriti stopi tad gunay na yujyate sadatma sthir yatha buddhist tad ashraya, which means that my divine nature, my divinity, this is Krishna speaking, my divinity, my divine nature is not affected by anything that has a material quality. In other words, material nature does not affect me. Even though I may be in contact with material things, but I'm not affected. And this is similarly not just me, but even my devotees who've taken shelter of me are not affected by material qualities. So there's a verse in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 14, text 26. Mam cha yo avyabhicharena bhakti yogena sevate. Sagunana samtit etan brahma bhuyaya kalpati. A person who serves me without any material contamination means unalloyed devotee of mine. He rises above the three modes of material nature. Sagunana samtit etan. It's situated on the Brahma Bhuta platform, which is not on the material platform. So what to speak of me, even my devotees are not affected by material qualities. And I just wanted to give a couple of examples. Everybody knows the story of Nar Narayan. Who was Nar Narayan? Anybody?
Vishnu and Arjun.
What?
Vishnu and Arjun.
Okay, my wife speaking from that Vishnu and Arjun, they appear as Nar Narayan. Also, some people say this Vishnu with two expansions, one in the form of Nar and one in the form of Narayan. So anyway, they were performing austerities in Badrikashram for many, many years. And our dear friend Indra got worried that, oh my God, who are these people performing so many austerities? Do they want my throne? Indra has this habit of getting worried. And so he sent Kamadev to disturb their meditation. So Kamadev is entourage of very, very beautiful women. He came down and started doing his thing to distract and break the meditation of Narayan. And obviously he was not successful. Nothing mattered. These women tried very hard. He tried very hard. Nothing worked. Finally, their lordships, they opened their eyes and immediately produced many women, each one of which was 1,000,000 times more beautiful than any woman in the entourage of Kamadev. So everybody was embarrassed to see the beauty of these women. And they were thinking, oh, with our little beauty, we're trying to attract him. Look at all these women that are already there serving him. And then the Lord, Kamdev started to apologize. So Lord Narayan smiled. Said, you know, you don't have enough women. So take any one of these women that I've created, take them with you. And they're standing there with folded hands saying, you know, we're sorry, we're embarrassed, this or that. We don't want anything. They said, no. You need to improve your work. So take one of these. And they still wouldn't pick one, so he picked one. And can you guess the name of the woman he picked? She's very famous Apsara now. Urvashi.
Yeah.
So Urvashi is actually produced by Lord Narayan, not an ordinary Apsara. Now she's living in Heavenly Kingdom, serving Indra, but that was created by Lord Narayan. The point of my story is that Lord Narayan is not affected by any of these women or Kamdev. They are material. He's got himself possesses so much. This, women within the entourage of Kamdev mean nothing. So not affected at all. He's just not bothered. He's not affected. Similarly, some people say, well, okay, fine. You said this paragraph says that even Krishna's devotees are not affected. And immediately they give the example of Lord Shiva being attracted to whom? Who was Lord Shiva attracted to?
Mohini.
Mohini form. So there you go. This is an example of a devotee was attracted. You missed the point. Who was Mohini Murti? Krishna. So Lord Shiva was actually attracted to Krishna, not just an ordinary woman. And also he was making the point that my Lord is always superior to me. Because he had just before that, he had been asked to drink poison. And in case people misunderstand that Lord Vishnu said, no, I send the demigods to Lord Shiva to drink the poison. That means Shiva has more powers. Lord Shiva wanted to prove that no, nothing. He was just trying to give me credit. The reality is that he's superior to me. I'm still at his control. So again, the point being made that even the devotees of Krishna have the same thing. Another example. In Bhagavad Gita, text 340, Krishna talks about where does lust reside, the material lust. And the verse is Indriyani Manobuddhir Asat what is it called? Asya Adhisthanam Uchate. Etar Vihumati Etar Isha Jnanam Avrati Dehina. It says basically the lust resides in the material senses, material mind, and material intelligence. Right? Lust resides in material senses, material mind, and material intelligence. But Krishna doesn't have anything material. He doesn't have material senses. He does not have material mind. He does not have material intelligence. So where would lust reside? There's no place. So in the case of Krishna, lust becomes homeless. It's not there at all. So therefore, there's no lust in Krishna's heart. Even when he does Ras Leela with the gopis, there's no lust in his heart. And one last example, you all know the verse, bhajan, Jai Radhe, Jai Krishna, Jai Vrindavan. In that there's a line, Jai Jai Ras Leela Sarva Manoram. It's glorifying the Ras Leela. A pure devotee writing this wonderful bhajan will not glorify Ras Leela if there was any lust involved. Then the point again being that Krishna is beyond the material nature. He's always transcendental, no matter what is happening, no matter what he's doing, no matter what role he's playing, no matter whether he's the material world or spiritual world. He's changeless in that he remains transcendental, whether in Golok Vrindavan Dham, in Bhumi Vrindavan, or any other part of the material world, in any form he comes. He remains transcendental and therefore he is changeless. Any questions or comments? Okay, if not, then we'll stop here because the 6 minutes left to 9:30 and next point will take longer than 6 minutes. So any last minute questions or comments? Who's awake? Raise your hand.
Who is awake?
Yeah, who's awake?
Prabhu.
Oh, okay.
Thank
Oh,
you so much.
Hare Krishna. Oh, Hari Bol.
Thank you.
Nice surprise, bro. Yes. That's our Mahabhagat Prabhu, one of the leading devotees in ISKCON Toronto. Okay, all right then. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripasindhubhyo evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Baat ki jai. Thank you all very much. And we'll see you next week, Thursday.
Thank you,
Hare
Prabhu.
Krishna.
Thank you so much,
Thank you, Vidya.
Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.